The headlines, man, they all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged, and you know they're all just spam. So buckle down, look right in, it crawls its way under your skin. Just got back from the things they spy, and you should give me that good news.
Why do we want that good news, Ken?
Because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to 216 The Net and the Grounds with Giles and Jones. I'm Giles. He's Jones. Happy Friday, they say, right? What's going on, buddy? It's been a couple days since I talked to you.
There's the man, Drew Casaccio, out there. Drew, how are you? Just talking about you and the Chamber of Commerce over in Crystal Lake.
Uh-oh.
And we'll just leave it there. It's good, Don. Good morning. Of course, you're going to see good old Uncle Pete up there. This is the most unique show here, 216 Net. Copy that, and put that right into your URL and join and be part of the show from wherever you're at in the world. We'd love to have you on. Grounds is all about anything politics, peanut butter, but no politics.
Yeah, no politics. Politics sucks.
And, of course, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at
Community Home Inspections, where we care about your house like you do. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or just get a general update on what's going on with your house, one of the biggest investments we all make in our lives, give us a call at 847-401-9501. That's 847-401-9501. We work 7 days a week because we love what we do. So give us a call.
That's it. Tim Santos, good morning. Glad to have you with us. No better way to start a Friday than with two idiots who talk about nothing.
I'll give me a high five on that one.
There we go. You want to feel good about yourself? Start the day with us.
Listen to us and you'll be like, I'm a lot smarter than I thought, right? I think a lot of people feel that way, though, don't you? You know what I mean? We're so hard on ourselves that, that guy's so much better than me. But then you get him in the side, it's like,
and if you want to rewind, that was a pretty white high five.
Was it supposed to be higher and harder?
Yeah, I don't know. That was just
all right. It was a little gentle for the radio in case you're watching.
That's right.
I guess we should have slapped harder because then
something. But yeah, just copy that, put it in there. Whatever you guys want to talk about, that's what this is all about. Just guys sitting around having coffee, talking about something. It's been a busy week. We didn't prep for the show, so that's why we have up there today. Who knows what the topic is?
Yeah, well, I mean, every week's a busy week for us, right? And we kind of just chit chat back and forth and come up with ideas, and it's just always interesting how things can always be the same, but they're always so damn different, right?
Yeah.
And I was kind of chatting with you a little bit about, our minds. I mean, I am fascinated by how our minds work and how it really messes with people a lot. Yeah. So I try to figure stuff out like that. And I was talking with my niece the other day because we went down to the Chicago Auto Show, which was really enjoyable. Hopefully some of you got to enjoy that. But we were talking about
especially those people in Singapore.
Yeah, especially
This is a worldwide show, Scott.
Oh, well, the Chicago Auto Show is where they have these vehicles that sit inside a building and you stare at them and people finger touch the shit out of them and wreck them all week long. And then they go and resell them back to the public.
Get COVID all over them.
Speaking of that, there was a guy sitting in a Ford Mustang. He got himself in the car, had his own little mask on, got himself in, put the seatbelt on, closed the door. He sat there for like 45 minutes. Nobody could get in the car and sit down and check it out. The guy he owned it. It was the funniest thing in the world. And I felt like saying something like, are you okay?
One of the electric Mustangs?
No. It was the real deal. The gas fired. Yeah. But there was electric down there, of course. Yeah. I mean, and I did take a couple electrics for a ride, just to kind of the kicks and giggles. Oh, that's pretty. The kicks and giggles. Drew left you a heart out of a, what do you call it? Paper clip. Thanks, Heart. Thanks, Drew.
All right. There we go.
That's cute. Hey, it keeps you going.
Hey, look at speaking of Singapore, Gary. Good morning.
Oh my God. Good morning, Gary. How's it going, bud?
Glad to have you with us in the year of the monkey.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had him on the show. I hope things are going well for you, my friend.
There's the URL. Come on in. But yeah. So you were down there anyway at the auto show.
At the auto show, right? Yeah. I mean, can an auto still be considered an auto if it's electric?
You said you were talking with your niece.
I was talking with my niece because she was just, as any teenager having having some issues going on and stuff like that, and so it just got me to thinking about how the conversations we were having, and it seemed like all the bad stuff that was coming up was stuff that she was remembering from the past, not the good stuff, and constantly dwelling on these things.
Yeah.
And I found that, I'm in the same boat in some respects. And I think a lot of people are, and just don't talk about it. We'll talk about the past, but hey, remember when we did this, all the good stuff out loud to people. But then in our heads, it's all the bad stuff kind of seeps in.
And you tend to do that?
I do, depending on the day, depending on the situation. But I do, because our past obviously is what's formed us and made us happen. So we made decisions in the past that we might not be happy of, and we can't change them. But as a human nature, we'll tend to go back and kind of review that. And, you'll hear the I wish I would have, I should have, I could have. And for me, it was just kind of fascinating because I know that's not the place you really want to live, right? You want to live in now, which is really important. The whole mindfulness and being in the present, right? It's a present for a reason because it's a blessing. Trying to get too far into the future is not good either, because then that'll cause you anxieties worrying about it. But it was just interesting that it seems a decent amount of people, including myself, will find myself drawing from the past the bads, which I'll have bad, but are you able to take that bad and look at it in a positive way, right? To help you not make that same mistake down the way, right? You understand what I'm saying? Or
I
understand.
Okay?
Well, because you know how I am. I tend to ramble and I think out loud. No. I don't. Yeah.
It's your show. Shit, you got an
my
hour.
Show. But no, but you know what I mean? I tend to ramble and I think out loud, and that's where I get myself in trouble.
Morning,
a lot
Jen.
of times. Good morning, Jen. And
so people out there in the netherworld and people listening and whatnot, if you're able to comment, are you all sit in your mind thinking of all the bad shit or the negative shit that you've done in the past?
Yep.
And by the way, listen, I'm just going to say this, all across America, there's some pretty bad weather that has happened. Take time to check in on people, check in on family. I mean, there's over 700,000 households in Michigan that are without electricity. There's over hundreds of thousands here in Illinois, because of the storm. It's cold, folks, and just check in on people. And if you've got electricity and you've got power, invite them over.
Same as electricity, by the way.
Yeah. Heat, all that good stuff, water. Invite them in.
Yeah, check in on your neighbors, and just I mean, that was a bad storm. It was really, really unfortunate. I actually was driving through that storm. Yeah. So if you know anybody, like we always talk about on the show, look out for your neighbor, help the fellow man. If they need some help, go over there, help them, do what they need to do. Even if it's, I don't want to say as simple, but as cutting down trees. I mean, I've got a ton of trees in my yard that's after my clients today. I'm going to go home and cut them down, cut them up. I got the chainsaw up and running last night.
Shayna says Scott wins the sweatshirt war today. So
go Hawks!
She must be a Hawkeye fan.
All right, Shayna. That's we sweatshirts today.
But again, I don't know why y'all say go Hawks. I grew up in Iowa. They're the Iowa Hawkeye.
Because that's what the college says. Go Hawks.
But it's an eye.
I understand that.
It's actually the eyeball of the hawk. So I don't understand why you're incorporating the whole.
You're just trying to start
the whole
shit.
Hawk.
I don't know. Why don't you call the dean of the school and ask him why?
I have questioned that even when I lived there.
Gary.
Good morning. Hey, Gary. Good morning. Singapore. Robert Giles out there. Good morning, Pop says memory is an integral part of human cognition, since it allows individuals to recall and draw upon past events to frame the understanding of and behavior with the present. Memory also gives individuals a framework through which to make sense of the present and future. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like that. That's a very good. That's a very good statement.
Okay. So, but the idea is what Scott is saying is not that memory is integral, but his memory is I focus on all the negative shit.
No. That's not exactly what I said. I said why is it that so like all the stuff in the past is positive, right? You blurt out to people. Right. Like I'll tell you about last week I went skiing to Dallas, but I didn't tell you last week about, let's just say, a bad day that I had. When in reverse, for me, I think that should be the conversation, not necessarily the good. Like, hey, Kent, I didn't go skiing last week. I stubbed my foot last week, and that really bothered me. Have you had a similar experience? To open up a conversation that can, one, make you not feel as alone or maybe as dumb as you might feel because of something you did, right? People tend to talk only about the good. It's the deep conversations that we're not getting to, and that's kind of how I drew upon this one, wanting to get into the discussion of, yeah, we all make those mistakes, but getting past that, learning from it, the integral part of pushing it back in so we can change the future, right? So my thing is why are we not talking about the stuff that is dwelling in our heads that's actually causing us more pain than it actually should? Because one, you can't change it. Two, hopefully you can learn from it by people like you. Because how many times have we had conversations where I'll tell you something and you look at me and go, well, you're just nuts. Why would you look at it that way? And then we have a discussion, and next thing I know, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It makes sense. But if you can't talk about it or you don't talk about it, you're going to view it the way that your brain normally does, right? And could be a very big negative in your daily function. So I just wanted to kind of explain that a little bit more, because maybe I didn't actually lay that out there as well. But yeah, I mean, dwelling on negative stuff, right? I mean, Gary, any thoughts out there for you, my friend?
What about negative stuff?
Yeah, negative stuff.
Well, just why we tend to only talk to people about all the good and not actually use our people, right? Our support systems, our friends, our family as sounding boards to talk about the stuff that's really in our head that's concerning us, not necessarily the good stuff, because the good stuff doesn't really concern us, right? I mean, it's good. We had fun. We did it. It's the negatives or the bad stuff that we don't talk about that causes us to potentially not even enjoy the up and coming stuff, because you're focusing on that less than great experience, if you will, right?
I think it's primarily because by human nature, humans tend to only want to hear only the good thing, only hear the good stuff. I think that's the psychology of most humans. They only want to hear the good things and they don't want to hear the bad things. So hence, by the natural process, when, as you mentioned, you're talking about speaking to the support system, and everything, it tends to be more about the good rather than about the bad. So I guess it's human nature to only want to hear the good thing.
Well, yeah, to a certain point, I think you're right, because I mean, I kind of get down. I kind of, when I'm chatting with my wife or my kids or whatever, and there's some bad stuff coming up, I say, hey, I want to hear the good stuff first, right? Because you do.
Yeah.
I mean, when you interact with people, you do want to hear good stuff. You want to be positive and upbeat and keep things rolling. But at the same token, there's always that undercurrent, that underlying thought process, if you will, in your head. I know Kent's probably immune from this because he's awesome. But there's always that little thing in the back of your head, that third voice in the back of your head popping you in the head going, hey, dummy, this is why, don't do this, or you didn't do well. You know what I mean? There's just, you're second guessing yourself. Part of that is your brain trying to keep yourself safe, because that's what our brain is. It's all about survival. But a lot of people, I feel, these days are afraid to talk about that and let people know that they're actually a normal, typical human being that has these emotions and these feelings that are less than beneficial to your daily.
So Jen says, yeah, sitting in negative thought is easy. Staying positive is the harder route. That is a practiced wavelength to stay on, but you have the choice and ability to choose which to focus on. Shayna, I did not. If you emailed it to 216 at Gmail, I didn't. If you want, you can email it to info@216thenet.com. I see that more often. I'll check it out. We'll talk about it next week for sure.
Back up to
Robert says, revisiting our past pain can help us let go of the painful feelings that are attached to those experiences. And Shayna says, if you ruminate on an endless loop without coming up with a plan for the next time, seems counterproductive. Solving future issues with knowledge gained would be good.
Yeah.
though.
So, and that's what she's saying there. So when you tend to ruminate, and I'm sure everyone does it, but I don't always assume, right? it's hard sometimes to get out of that pattern. And that's where, when you talk to somebody about it, it can get you out of that pattern, because you don't feel, I think a lot of reason people don't talk about things is because they feel alone. Like they're the only ones, like they're the idiot, right? They're the only one having that problem. But then in reality, when you get out there and you actually talk to somebody, and you're realizing that I'm really no different than anybody else, but then you get that person to help break that cycle. Because if you have never had rumination, it's not really a good thing, right? Because you can't get your brain, it's really hard to get your brain out of that gear. And that's why some people, they say jump in cold water, jump up and down, scream at yourself, something just to refocus your mind. Well, refocusing your mind isn't as easy sometimes as people think. That's why when talking to, somebody else just out in the open that you trust, can help you to do that and to get you out of that. I call it a funk. Right. And that's what friends and family are for. And your wife, I mean, hopefully that's the person that you can tell just about anything, even though there's certain things we don't tell our spouses because you don't want to piss them off or offend them, but they're there for,
well,
right?
Thanks for listening, Deidre.
Yeah, I was going to say. So she did chime in there.
Of course, she says there are some people who speak about good, quote unquote, stuff, but the listener only hears the quote unquote bad. I like to think of those people as wearing shit glasses, as they only see the negative. And Don, I think, agrees with you. Don says, we tend to desire to hear only good, but dwell on the bad. We tend to say, learn from mistakes, but we should learn from our successes.
Yes. I love that one.
We can repeat them.
Yep.
Mr. Santos chimes in. He says, hey guys, Gary will tell you now he's in Singapore and they're only 13 hours ahead of us right now. So just wanted to know that it's easy to copy that URL and put it in. And then you don't have to think that Tim sounds as dumb as I do, because he's a brilliant man, right?
Oh, wow. You want me to read this one since you just called him dumb?
No, I said he's not as dumb as I am, but you're hearing my voice. So you're like, boy, Tim Santos, he sounds like an idiot. No, I'm the idiot. I just have to read it. If Tim would come on, and of course, Tim, you're the host of Let Me Tell You Something, Brother.
Which is a great show.
Yeah, it's great.
Wednesdays,
so
right?
Everybody knows he's brilliant. I'm just saying, if you're listening out on the radio for the first time, you're like, God, all these people sound dumb. No, I'm dumb. It's just that these people are brilliant. I'm just reading it. So
let me go ahead and read this one,
okay.
And then you won't sound so dumb. We'll make Tim sound really smart. So Tim says, about 3 years ago, I drew a line in the sand and said I will not let negativity control any aspect of my life. Shut up. It was good for you, friend. Unfollowed negative friends, family, community pages, peers, and let go of grievances. My business has flourished, my relationships are meaningful, and my family life has never been stronger. It's hard to keep that mindset, but it is possible. Well, good for you, Tim, for getting through that, because it is tough. It is definitely tough. Help you get you out of there, and to not see through the shit glasses, as Deidre puts it. It's hard. It sounds easy, just like a lot of things in life. Oh, suck it up, buttercup. You don't do it. It's easy. It's not. It's putting stuff into practice.
There's our T-shirt for the day. The show T-shirt goes to the shit glasses. Are you wearing your shit glasses?
So then Tim also says shit glasses is now a term that I am going to practice using as much as
possible.
Thanks, Deidre. Yeah, Deidre's been saying that for many years about the shit glasses, because I give her a little bit of crap. Like yesterday, we got into a little bit of an argument. First thing in the morning, I walk down. Hey, babe. Hey, just so you know, my transmission's shifting a little weird. I'm like, oh my God, I just woke up. Why you got to hit me up with the bad shit?
Hey,
so Gary, I got you back there, babe.
Gary, you're crinkling up. Shayna says mute as you're playing around with your microphone. It goes back to staying present.
Yep.
Shayna says many people benefit more from physical or outdoor activity to help them out.
Absolutely. That's a huge one, and that's why getting back to nature is really good, to get outside to clear your head, right? Regardless if you walk or just, I mean, I tell you, I don't know about you, Kent. I don't know about anyone else. I know you and I are pretty similar, but when I get outside and I just like stare up at the stars or whatever, it kind of brings me back to being a kid, right? To where things were simpler and we didn't tend to overthink things because we didn't have as many issues that have gone through us yet. So life was good. Life was simpler, right? Life is good and life can be simpler as long as we learn to stay in the present, the mindfulness thing, right? The gratefulness, being grateful for things that we have, the little simple things. The fact that you just woke up this morning, right? Instead of, oh, I got a headache. Well, you know what? You woke up this morning, because how many people, today died?
There's a key to gratitude, but I've said it on other shows. If all you had to do is get up and write 3 things you're grateful for, and life would be fucking beautiful, everybody would do it. It does put your mind into a good position, and it is a biblical thing, but it's still.
It's hard. It's a practice that you got to get into, and it's not
hard. It's easy, but you can't just go, "Hey, I'm grateful for air. I'm grateful for my shoes, and I'm grateful for my work."
You could.
Hey, I got a fucking perfect day now. I'm grateful.
Hey,
nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna have all the success in the world because I wrote 3 grateful things down.
That's it, guys. End of the show. Thank you for tuning in today. You've got life figured out, right? But so that's the thing, and it's also being genuine when you're doing the grateful things of stuff you're really grateful for, because some people it's really hard. I mean, when I started doing it, it was hard to really come up with, it's not something like I'm grateful for my tennis shoes. I'm grateful for air.
You should be.
I am. I'm grateful the fact that I have these things, that I can afford these things, right? And that I've been able to do what I'm able to do in life. But sometimes when things hit you in the nose or hit you right between the eyes, it's like, Deidre always says too, like, even though it's a shitty cloudy day out, there's sun up top. You just can't see it. My wife has always been the one that says, see the silver lining, right? You can't see the sun, but it's above those clouds. Trust me, it's there. You just have to see it in your mind. And that's where, your list of rules of success also play into fact. It's not right in front of you all the time.
Robert says, why do our brains focus on the negative? Our brains have been hardwired through evolution to focus on the negative. Traced back to prehistoric days, primitive man had to be able to register threats to avoid danger and increase survival rates. Individuals who were mere attuned to danger, negative stimuli, stayed alive longer and passed on in their genes.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, back in the day, for our brain survival, that's what it was. You were surviving the day, right? Not getting eaten by a lion or something like that. But
so
things have changed considerably.
Here's the issue with what you're saying there, and here's the issue with
what he's saying or what I'm saying.
What Bob says
what
there,
Bob
and
says.
and what you say is, why do our brains focus on the negative? Our brains have been hardwired through evolution to focus on the negative. Okay, traced back to prehistoric days, primitive man had to be able to register threats to avoid danger. Okay, so here's the issue. Why is that negative your brain keeping you alive? You're not focusing on the negative. It's all how you look at it.
Right.
Are you looking through shit-colored glasses? Hey, I'm going to get eaten by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let me crawl into a small space so I don't. The negative you think that you're focusing on is the T-Rex is going to eat you, but your brain is focusing on the positive, saying, I want to keep you alive. So the problem is that you choose as a human being to say, I'm focusing on that negative piece. It's not.
Is it more of a perception?
There's a fight or flight that's in your brain. It's in the amygdala. We know that, yeah. Right? But the problem is, I don't look at that as focusing on the negative. I look at that as focusing on the positive to keep my ass alive.
Yes, you could definitely look at it that way, right? You're looking at what you need to do.
So my brain is not hardwired to focus on the negative. It's not. My brain is hardwired to focus on the positive. Positive to me is keeping me alive. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree with that. I agree with that statement.
So that's kind of why I've been quiet, is I don't know how to respond to this, because I don't dwell on the negative. I don't look at the negative. I never have. You get up, you dust yourself off, you move on.
Right.
For almost 20 years, I haven't had cable because of all the negative out there. Right. I choose to program myself by inputting things. Last year, I read 60 books Why? Because I wanted to program my brain with other things. I don't. That's what I don't understand, and I don't get. I can't comprehend what this is all about.
So and I'm glad you said that, because this is a big part of it. So you said you canceled cable, you don't watch these shows because you're programming your brain, right, to be positive. Well, that's exactly what it is. That's why they call it television programming. There's putting things out there that we're watching, because so many people these days, it's very hard to find a family, a household that doesn't have a TV, internet, that they're watching all this stuff, which is focusing, I believe, on a lot of the wrong aspects of life. What you do is you are staying positive. You are a very rare individual in this day and age, right? To where you are positive, and then you're focused more on family and what's going on instead of what society says you should or shouldn't do, right? So, you're blazing your own trail.
I'm gonna give you all. I'm gonna give you all a list of numbers, okay? And I'm just gonna prove a point. I'm gonna give you a list of numbers: 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. All right. So your list of numbers is this: 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. Here it is: 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. That's your list of numbers. What numbers did I leave out?
3, 6, 9.
Write down out there. What numbers did I leave out? 1,
3, 6, 9.
4, 5, 7, 8, 10. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. What numbers did I leave out?
3, 6, and 9.
Put it in there. Right.
While we're waiting for that, let's read Shayna's comment here.
All right. She agrees with Bob.
Right. She says, Robert is right. Our system wasn't built to handle the amount of stimuli we have presently, and has faulted to anxiety, seeing everything as a potential threat. Right. So everything is a potential threat. And that's an issue, because it's not a threat. You should be looking at as an opportunity, right? You made a mistake before. Look at the opportunity you had to not make that mistake again, right? Instead of that, we're dwelling on, well, I fucked it up once, I'm going to do it again, right?
Yeah. So Gary's saying 3, 6, and 9 we left out. Who else out there? So the list was 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. Negatives usually highlight an opportunity to realign with what you feel is valuable. All right. 3, 6, 9. Yeah. So Deidre says you left out almost all numbers. Numbers don't end at 10. Okay. We got 3, 6, 9, almost all numbers.
Yeah, but in the numbers
you
he
said
counts
3, 6, 9.
3, 6, 9.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
All right. So and if you don't want to answer up there, that's fine. Right. That's fine. Don says and every number of 10.
I don't get that one.
After 10.
Oh, after 10.
Tim says 3, 6, 9, 11. Okay. So I want you to listen to what I'm saying again. Okay. I'm giving you a list of numbers: 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. I didn't leave out any goddamn numbers. I gave you a list of numbers: 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. I didn't leave out any. You chose to focus on the negative. You go,
Yes.
wait. You go, wait. 3, 6, 9. Anything after 10. You left them all out. You are searching for something missing. You're searching for negative.
You're searching for the wrong.
I
what's
didn't
wrong?
leave anything out.
Because
I gave you the list. However you guys program your mind, what you input, the way you approach life, you're looking for something to be wrong. You're looking for something to be wrong. It's idiotic. There was nothing wrong with the list of numbers I gave you. I didn't leave out any numbers.
But you know why we all did that? Think about this one. Is because that's the way we were programmed. Because 3, 6, and 9 belong in that the way we were taught, right?
No, it doesn't. I gave you the list of numbers.
Right, because we literally took what you said, or we didn't literally take what you said, because you said, let me give you a list of the numbers. What's missing? Nothing. Those are the list of numbers you gave us. But because of the way we're taught, we're looking at going, wait, what's behind this? What's what we're not seeing, right? So right away, in my brain, 3, 6, 9. There's not those numbers weren't missing, because that's not the numbers you gave us. And so I love the fact that you put that in there, because that's the way that majority of society would have looked at that. Right? They would have come up with that. And they did look for what's missing instead of what's there. What's missing? 3, 6, 9. No, it's not missing. He gave us the numbers. Those are the numbers that's there. We should appreciate those numbers and understand those numbers. I get that. And dude, that's huge. That's powerful. That is insanely powerful right there. because it's so stupid
That's it.
simple.
Now-
But so that's the
now,
thing is we
here's-
overcomplicate
Here's
shit.
the best thing. I've got Shayna saying, rewind the tape. You said numbers, not the numbers I said. But you asked, and you said what numbers you left off. And the answer is you didn't leave off.
Well, you just said, I'm going to give you a list of
numbers.
numbers. What's missing?
What's missing, right? Okay.
Your
So-
list of numbers
so
just happen to miss them.
Here's the brilliance of people. Now, because I have proven negativity, you're like, whoa, hold on, that's not what you said. I'm not wrong.
See, I think you're totally right. I love it. I think you're totally right.
You are.
Now, the only thing that Don says is he says we are also influenced by how questions are asked, right? And we are, right?
Well, okay.
But how your question was asked, I think, was 100% right. How we perceived it, right, as the listeners, and that is how our brain is programmed. So this is huge, dude. That statement is unbelievable because we perceived that you were expecting that those three numbers are missing. They're not missing. The way that you said it, but we all heard it in a different manner. So if we did go back and replay that, we would see that what you were saying is, let me give you a list of numbers, right?
That's it.
And we all automatically in our brains went, what's missing? What's wrong? How do we fix it? And
That's negative.
right.
And that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
in a way, hold on.
I
In a
don't
way, it's
comprehend.
negative, but it's also looking for what's, like when we count those numbers, right? We're looking for what's missing. Maybe not necessarily negative. You can construe it negative because, dude, that's a powerful statement there. But our brains right away, the way we were taught, what's missing? You know, like what was it? Sesame Street. What doesn't belong? 3, 6, and 9 don't belong in that list because that's not how you were asking it. But how you ask a question is huge. And that's where I get myself in a lot of trouble because of how I ask a question. The question might be valid, but how I ask it, how it comes across to people is huge.
It just listen. That's why I don't understand.
You're one of the lucky ones, bud. You're one of the lucky ones because you do have that. You do look at things differently. And that's what I love about you, right? Because even though we're same, we're very different, but we also challenge each other's processes, right? As to why something happens. And obviously through our viewers, you can see that they're also in the same boat. I mean, there's a you and there's a me.
Listen, through your whole life, through your whole life, it's what you've chosen to accept as right and wrong. Right through your whole life, you compare yourselves to others. You go to school, there's grading on the curve. Oh, what'd you get? Oh, you got an A. I got a C. I'm not as good as you. Right? You learn. Oh, you can't look at. You can't think about sex. That's a sin. It's a
we
sin.
think about it every 30
right?
seconds.
You know, you're programmed with guilt, and you're programmed with rights and wrongs. Every day you break the law. Every day you break the law. Every day you get into an automobile in America, you break the law every day because y'all drive over the speed limit.
Speak for yourself. I go under speed limit.
Shit, I agree. You know, right? You understand what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
but you choose to think that that's okay
Until you get caught.
No, because you're like, well, all right, ends justifies me. I speed all the time, so I got caught this one, so I'll pay it and move on. That's what you said. And you speed. You 10 minutes after you get that ticket, you speed.
You're damn right. It's the
right?
human nature, and it's how you've been. It's how you've been programmed.
You go. Hey, they give you 5. No, the limit is that.
Right.
They give you 5 miles. No, the limit. You're breaking the law.
Right.
Every
You
day.
are. You are.
Right. But you choose to think, well, that's not a bad thing. I robbed a bank. You broke the law. Yeah, they give you a couple 100,000 before whatever.
Right. So
Right.
and that's where your comment earlier about your programming, right? Because in society we have been programmed, right, and still are being programmed on a daily basis of how to think, what to do, how to do it. It's the individuals that can step outside of that and look at it from a different perspective. And that's part of the reason that you and I wanted to do this show, right? To give people a different view on things. To
we
give them
just weren't doing anything else.
Well, yeah, we weren't doing it. Friday morning is just dead for me. But, to give them a daily dose of encouragement, to let them know that, you know what? Hey, you might be thinking this way, but you're not the only one. Doesn't mean it's right, but you're not the only one thinking this way. This is what we do. Kent's statement, It's huge. And I don't normally give Kent a pat on the back when we talk, but that one really in my head resonates. It's huge because right away, those simple numbers sent us into an overload.
So, and Robert says, according to neuropsychologist Dr. Rick Hansen, quote, the mind is like Velcro for negative experience and Teflon for positive ones, quote. Now, and here's the wonderful thing about that is I can find 10 neuropsychologists who say the opposite. It's very easy for us to Google to find answers that we want that fit our thought, which is wonderful. And I'm not a neuropsychologist. I don't claim to be a doctor, but I can tell you that I can probably go out within 10 minutes and get 10 other neuropsychologist views who have done a study that is just the opposite of that. Right?
Most likely, yeah.
Absolutely.
But
right?
but it's all, a lot of times it's also what fits in your head, right? What you agree or disagree with and why you disagree or disagree with it, right? So you're able to take that information that this guy put out there, and just like you were talking, you can analyze it and go, fits in the way I think or doesn't fit in the way I think. So you can make things adapt to your mindset, right? But in the long run, what really matters is how it does really work for you. If that's how you can perceive this information and it makes sense for your life and can help you do what you want to do and how you want to do it, that's great. But I, being the opposite individual, look at it from a different standpoint. And that's my choice. That's my perception. That's how I decide to do things. The issue that I'm trying to bring up is, and the comment and the reason for my statements today is that I want people to understand that that's the way it is with everybody. You're not alone. Okay. But knowing that you're not alone and being feared or fearful of telling people this is horrible, because then you just end up in your own head and just catastrophizing. Did I say that right? Catastrophizing basically everything, right? Oh, woe is me. When it could be just as a simple conversation with your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your whatever, your neighbors, and just look at it and go, holy shit. Why was I doing that? Why did I think that way? That makes zero sense. I feel much better now because I shared that with you instead of saying, hey, I went skiing yesterday and it was the best day of skiing ever. Bring out something that is bothering you, because nobody likes to talk about what's bothering them. I shouldn't say nobody, because I always use these finite statements, right? That it's this, it's that. And I don't mean it to be finite, but what I'm saying is share. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. There's nothing wrong with having a different viewpoint. That's the beauty of this world. But understand that you are a normal, typical, functioning individual that has issues. We all do. Whether you share it or not is up to you. But when you share, you feel much better. That's one reason that therapists, or I like to call them coaches, counselors, mentors, whatever, help. Because a lot of times, like with my coaches, they just sit there and look at me, or they're listening to me and will either validate or just ask more questions as to why something came out of my mouth, right? It's getting it out of your head, because when you're in your head, everything, once again, I'm using this finite, everything is a little bit more negative, a little bit more unclear, because it's just you that's justifying it. It's just you that's trying to rationalize it, instead of when I say something to you, Kent, that is just driving me crazy and horrible, you look at me and go, are you nuts? Like, why are you doing that to yourself? But then I share it with you, and then it like completely changes my perspective, or at least to think about it again, to reevaluate. And that's where a lot of us are struggling, because we're not sharing, we're not reevaluating from an outsider's perspective. We are programmed through all the shit we listen to, through TV, not through 216. We're not programming, we are sharing, right? But that's why they call it TV programming, because it's giving you a false perception, or a perception that might not be realistic. So share your thoughts, share your comments, both with us.
My 1,000-pound friends seem to be pretty realistic. So Gary, people over in Singapore have the same issues?
We are a very pragmatic society over here, as with most Asian countries. So we tend to speak in very practical terms. We tend to think in very practical terms. So if the thing is negative, then practically people will speak of it and think of it negatively. If it's positive, we think of positive. There's it's kind of like pretty cut and dry. But then again, that's the Asian mentality. It's like we don't really have that much time to waste on all this all these things because life is complex, life is busy and things like that. So people just want to get the things done, and so if it's negative, it's negative. It's positive, positive. I mean, you can say it, perhaps to borrow an expression that you guys use in the US. It's like it's kind of saying it as it is. That's the way our society runs actually here in Singapore.
So when you were growing up, and just the society in Singapore, would
Right.
you say you guys dwell and teach more of the personal development, the brain, explaining to your kids, explaining to your friends, how the brain works, and these are the things that happen.
Unfortunately, no. That's why if you look at the global rankings for science and maths in education, Singapore is usually among the top 5 countries among the whole world. I think they call it PISA, PISA, which is the science and the measurement of science and maths skills in education system. Singapore is usually ranked among the top 5 countries in the whole world. I think the US is usually placed around 15th or 20th in the whole world. And this is a very consistent thing because we are a very young country. We are only 57 years of independence. And the drive from day one of our independence has been the people, because we have no other resources other than people. We have no agricultural resources, we have no natural resources. So therefore, the focus has always been on the hard skills, science, maths, technology. It has never been the focus on the soft skills, your personal development, your holistic development, your understanding how your brain works, understanding feelings, and so hence we grow up in a society that's pretty much on hard skills. There is a change now. There's a slow, but it's a very slow change. But that's basically how Singapore as a society has developed and grown. So unfortunately, we don't think that much in that sort of empathy, in that sort of EQ sort of structure. We are very IQ focused as a young country, because we need our people, which is ourselves, to have a certain set of skill sets that can enable us to survive at least in any part of the world. And unfortunately, EQ is not one of them.
Well, yeah, emotional intelligence is important, but IQ, and if I'm understanding what you're saying right, the IQ, you guys are focusing more on learning and brain.
No, more on hard skills. I mean, yes, we are focusing on learning, but like our education system is really on learning, but it's on hard skills. So it's not about humanities, it's not about arts, it's about science, technology, STEM, what you call STEM, engineering, maths, technology. It has been, the focus has been on that, and never been that much on like, we talk about geography, about literature, about arts, about culture. The arts scene here, most parents will agree that you can't really make money in the arts scenes here in Singapore. So why are you wasting your time trying to be a singer, a dancer, or something like that? Why can't you just be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or something like that? Yeah.
See, that's the thing for me, the comment that you made there. Why do they want to do that? Why do they want to focus on that? Because that's what they want to do. That's what their mind tells them. That's what their heart tells them to do, right?
That's what their heart tells them, correct. But then, unfortunately, that's not what society says.
Yeah, but society is the one that's saying that you have to make something of yourself. Right?
Yes, yes.
Anything. It's your life. You choose to do what you want, right? Society, and we have been programmed that you have to, if you don't have this, you're nobody. If you don't do that, you're nobody.
Yep.
That's a crock of bullshit, right? Because that's what forces everybody into this. I have to do something. I have to be, not everybody, once again, my finite statement, have to be great, have to do this, have to. No, you don't. You can do what you want. This is your life. You choose to do what you want with your life, right?
but that Scott, you see it actually in American society. I mean, if you have friends who are of American Asians, you look at their circle and you look at the way they do things. The Asian community in America, regardless of whether they are Japanese, Korean, Philippines, or Chinese, it doesn't matter. But you notice that the emphasis has been on, like, on the very professional sort of thing that they want their children to become. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, tech entrepreneurs, or whatever. It's never been a focus of an Asian mentality on arts and culture as a means of living. I'm not saying that it cannot be done. There are people who have done it, but on the overall whole, if you look at it holistically, Asian societies tend to be very, very hard focused on the hard skills or the professional skills. And that is the same, that is the true also for Asian communities in America. So I guess it's just the way that Asian countries on this side of the pond differ from perhaps the Western, the European, or the Americans' way of looking at.
So would you say that my statement then does not hold true for people in Singapore?
For majority, I would say it will not hold true. But of course, there is a change, right? The young ones, they are more exposed to internet culture. They are more exposed to the West, to American programs and things like that, even to talk shows or document. So they understand now that there is more than just being a doctor. There's more to life than just being a doctor, a lawyer, trying to chase all these things, trying to do a paper chase. There's arts, there's culture, there's things that make life better as it is. But it's a very slow cooking process. It doesn't happen overnight. If you ask me, it may take perhaps another half a generation. It may take perhaps another generation. Because I'm only a second generation Singaporean. I'm only 57 years. I'm only a second generation Singaporean. So now you have third generation that's coming up. So perhaps in their lifetime, or perhaps in the fourth generation, they may think in like what you were saying earlier. That life is more than just being that sort of mindset or target. But it's a slow cooking process because there's still the Asian conformity, Asian society, Asian values and things like that, which places studying and learning of skills over any other trivial, frivolous sort of pursuits, as we call it. So, it happens also in American Asian societies. So, I guess it's just the way the Asian civilization things, because bearing in mind that Asian civilization is much longer than American civilization, right? The Asian China history spans back 6,000, 7,000 years, and so does the Middle Eastern, which goes for 5,000-6,000 years. So I guess they have developed this sort of thinking over a very long period of time.
Yeah. So Shana says individual expression is what makes the world envious. With all of our issues, it's rare to find a more popular. Is that notion or nation? Nation.
I don't know. I'm not really following that. Individual expression is what makes the world envious. So you're saying that people are envious of us as a country, Shana?
So here's something to think about. The LGBTQ population. A study, and I heard this on a podcast, and I can't think of the podcast right now. So a study shows that of Gen Xers, there are like 4% of the population of Gen Xers who are labeled with the LGBTQ. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that statistic before. Yeah.
And then you move down to the millennials, and it's something like 8 or 10%, something.
Yeah, that's a jump. Yeah, that's a doubling of it. Yeah.
And now you move into the Gen Zs, and it's 14 to 15% of the population. And this is here in America. That's here in America. Okay. So let me ask you, what happened that we've become gayer over time?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't like the fact that you say that we become gayer.
No, that's statistically proven.
But they're saying that they're using that word, become gayer or more
Right,
open.
because it was 4%. Now it's up to 14% or whatever the
It's
case.
doubling. It's actually a doubling of every generation.
We're becoming more gayer.
I don't think that we're becoming more gayer, as your comment. I think that more people are accepting who they are and letting people know who they are, because they're not letting societal. Hold on, they're not letting societal.
No, you interrupted me, so I'm going to interrupt you. So hold
go
on.
ahead. All right,
No,
all right, go for it.
Absolutely not. You're allowing people to program themselves to say, "Oh yeah, I'm an armadillo. I'm a cat." You know, and we're saying that that's okay, right? It's here in America, we're so blinded by America, right? Your little focus today on negative thought is the person in Ghana. Are they walking around running from a lion going, well, boy, I feel bad about myself. I'm stuck in this negative thought. No, they're like, I need to kill the lion so I can eat.
Right.
Yes. Correct.
That's what Gary's saying.
It's much more simplistic.
The Eastern thought is mindfulness, right? Listen, do what you have to do to get from A to B.
Right.
And here in America, we keep saying, hey, it's okay, little buddy. You can be a squirrel. You be you.
You know what I think
it's
that comes down
to? You can identify as a balloon. I don't care, buddy. You here. No, somewhere in America, we've lost context of good, bad, negative.
Well, we've lost sight of the basics and the simplicity of life, right?
And it's to what Gary's saying. Hey, I need to be the next movie star. I'll do anything to become the next. And that was
taught and programmed into us through our lovely.
Hey, we'll
pay
these
neighbors.
Athletes hundreds of millions of dollars so that you can waste 3/4 of your Sunday watching them run around and then show up to work Monday mad because
hungover,
quote unquote, your team didn't win.
Right. Yeah, how fucked up is that?
People
think about that one.
The issue and a lot of what we're talking about, and look at this. Take a look at it from somebody a different country's perspective.
I mean, Ken, you actually talk about sportsmen. That is a very good topic. So I'll be very honest with you. We do have professional sportsmen here in Singapore, but if you want to earn a living as a professional sports person here in Singapore, the chances of you making it is probably, I mean, we have a population of 6 million, so 1 in 6 million. That is the reality, because
it's even worse here. I was going to say it's way worse here. It's just, unfortunately, and that's the perception, and that's the thing that that people strive for, because do this, work really hard, and you can be a professional athlete. So these people put their entire, and if they love it to do it and they enjoy it, that's great. But they put their whole lives, they put all their focus on this, and then when it doesn't happen, right? What happens to them?
Yeah, but here in Singapore, we shut down that notion right from day one.
Right.
That's the thing. We shut it down. We shut it down in young kids right from day one, that if you want to be a sportsman, just realize that you are going to be on your own. You're going to feed your own. I'll give a very good example. Our very first Olympic gold medalist, Joseph Schooling, which won the 100-meter swimming competition in Olympics, beating Michael Phelps. That was like what, 6 or 7 years ago. So he had never had a single government support. He was only able to do it because his parents mortgaged their house for $1 million Singapore dollars to send him to the University of Texas to study on a scholarship, a swimming scholarship. And it was all through his own money. He never took, the government had never given him a single cent. Yeah. He only got the government money because once he won the Olympic gold medal, our government gave him $500,000. That's the prize money for any Singaporean that wins an Olympic gold medal. But how you get that gold medal? Hey, but you're on your own. You pay your own way. You do your own things. I'm just there to just give you a prize money if you get it. So we shut down the notion here in Singapore from a very young age that if you want to be a sportsman, you're on your own, but the government will not, it's not really going all out to give you any money. Neither are schools going to give you any money. You are on your own. You pay your own way. And hey, if you strike it rich, congratulations. But if you don't strike it rich, too bad. Life's up.
Do you think they're trying to keep the people grounded, so to speak, right? If your chances of making it are slim to none, are they trying to set them back, saying, you know what,
Yes,
slim to none,
correct.
don't waste your time?
You are very right, Scott, because as a young country with no resources, and we started with a population of only 2.5 million people, we only have people. And if half of you go gallivanting off into the horizon trying to chase dreams, which, would lessen the pool of people that are able to build a country, then the government will shut that notion down and pull you back into reality and tell you, no, you guys got to really get a good education, learn maths, learn science, because we're going to get investments here, we're going to get factories here to help build out our country, and you guys need to be able to learn the technology from these people, of which the US was our biggest help. You got to learn from the US guys, Lockheed, which set up the factory here in the 70s. You got to learn all the technology. We used to do Rolei cameras over here. We used to do produce Hasselblad cameras here in the factory. Learn the technology, build our own skill set. So don't go gallivanting, chasing football dreams or swimming dreams.
So
that don't count for anything.
So as you know, we're rolling in on the back end of this, but the negativity of sitting in your own negative thoughts, right, is exactly how your parents have raised you, is exactly how you've chosen to accept things. It's exactly how you probably have raised your kids. My kids are probably screwed up 3 ways to Thursday because of the way that I am. All right. And I know that. Right. But that's their deal to work with now. Right.
Yeah, correct.
Listen, I was the youngest of 4 boys. I was battling since the word go. You know what I mean? It was a fight all the time. It's just the way it was with older brothers, right? I remember getting my ass whooped for breaking a model airplane of my brother's, right? Guess how many times I broke another of one of his models? Never, right? So you are who you are by the way that you've been raised and by the way that you've accepted, right? I don't accept to live in a negative space. I just don't, right? People, there's really, I don't. That's just who I am and how I live.
And that's
right?
the choices you've made.
So and my kids are probably frustrated because they're like, no, this really sucks. But dad is always like, hey, it's all right. Look at the shiny side of this, right? So they're probably
sounds like me.
like I said, they're probably screwed up 3 ways to Thursday, but they're not else. They gotta live and work with that and work it out, whatever, right? My brain, I'm still a kid. Right. And then I had kids and I had to raise kids. And you could ask the 2 oldest ones, they're like, man, you're easier on these, the 2 younger ones. And I'm like, no, I just didn't know what the hell I was doing when I had learned with y'all. Right. So, I mean, that's
sorry.
the thing. So the bottom line is, I don't give a shit if you're stuck in a negative spot. I really don't care. If you want to wallow on negativity, cool. I'll either choose to accept you for who you are and where you're at, or I'm not going to, right? And if I feel you're too damn negative, then I'm be like, you're out of my life. I'm with Tim. I cut those people out. You don't have to be friends with 10,000 people on social media.
Yeah,
you don't even have to look at social media. My social media now is all commercials. It's wonderful of shit that I like because I choose not to get involved with stupid shit and things that make me upset, right? So that's how the algorithms work. Once you understand that the life here in America, your life here in America is absolutely 100% driven by an algorithm. Everything you do, everything you buy, everything is, if you're on this phone, if you're on a computer, everything is thrown at you and you are the product.
Right. And it changes your perception. It changes your thoughts.
And is there a difference between negativity? Absolutely there is. You can be positive and question everything.
Yeah. Hey, I like that statement. We should make a T-shirt out of that one.
You can. It's not being negative. And
there's definitely a difference.
And here's the space. Somebody said it earlier. I think it was Deidre. Is that there are some people who live in a negative space. They're happiest when they're upset.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what makes
that's their life.
That's what gives them balance. Cool. I don't have to put up with it. Or I've got dear friends that I know when they call that I'm like, All right, here goes 15 minutes of bitching and complaining and people dying and this.
But you know what's good about that in a way, though?
But I know that it's coming. But I choose to love the individual anyway. So I go, okay, I know it's coming. So they're calling me because they got to get out. Let it get out, whatever, right? And I don't offer any solutions because I'm not judging, right? We're so worried about what other people think of us. We're so worried about everybody else here in America. We're so worried about what are we keeping up with the Joneses? Oh, look what he's got. Look what she's got. Why is his life better? Why is her life better? I don't care. I get up in the morning and I love life, right? That's it.
I think perhaps that's where perhaps what you have just said, I think that's where maybe a bit presumptuous of me to say it, but I think that's where perhaps a certain segment of American society has gone wrong because they really want to care and they want to care about what others think about them.
Absolutely.
As a form of activism, as a form of armchair activism, social activism, whatever. They are not there to solve the problem. They are only there to so if I say this and do this, I want to know what the rest of society thinks about me, and I want to live in that glory and fame. And I think that's perhaps it is just one of perhaps the reasons why you have the situations that you have now in the American society, of which we are seeing it very clearly over here. But for some reason, I think most Americans are not able to see it that clearly. So we can only just try and shout it out from our side of the world. But well, we got other better things to shout at also. Actually,
here's a statement I got for everybody to think about between this show and next week. Right, with the proper amount of desperation and fear, balance between desperation and fear, you can control just about anybody. Think about that. That's next week. And that's what a lot of times people get turned around and change things. Desperation of wanting to be better, of wanting to do this, or fear of not keeping up with those people, right? We have come to the end of the show. So think about that this week. Comment. And as always, please send in any ideas you guys do have that you may want to have these two idiots discuss.
Send it to info@216thenet.com. Info@216thenet.com.
Instead of the grounds, maybe we should call it Two Idiots Drinking Coffee. Right? But no, I mean, we try to bring up these subjects because these are things that I don't think a lot of people actually are comfortable bringing up. And I think it needs to be brought up because Kent is an amazing individual. Kent has a much different view on things than a lot of people. Not that everybody is the way that I'm bringing it up today, but I see this in my world, and I want to bring it up to people to think about. If it's not in your world and you don't think that way, awesome. I love you. That's great for you. But unfortunately, people, there are a lot of people that think that particular way. And as a society, helping them to get out of that thought process by allowing them to feel comfortable to talk to you about these things is huge. We love you. We want to bring you a daily dose of encouragement. Please tune into 216 The Net during the week. We have tons of great shows. I'm going to let Kent take it away for us, guys. Love you. Have a great weekend. Hug everyone around you and be the change in the world that you want to see.
I'll leave you with this. I'll give you a list of numbers: 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 10.